Welcome, esteemed viewers, to another thrilling journey into the darkest shadows of our ancient history. When we hear the word Viking, we instantly picture giant, fearsome warriors wearing iconic horned helmets. But what if I told you this terrifying image is nothing more than a myth, fabricated much later? Beneath the frozen layers of time lies a completely different truth about these magnificent master sailors. Today, we shall uncover if the mighty Norsemen were mindless destroyers or pioneering architects. According to ancient records, the year 793 brought abominable portents across the land. Fierce whirlwinds and gigantic lightning storms ripped through the skies, followed by the arrival of fearsome heathen men. Emerging from the thick mist, dragon-headed vessels silently approached the peaceful shores of mighty Lindisfarne. The unsuspecting monks of this sacred monastery had no idea that pure devastation was coming. Massive, undaunted warriors leaped from the shallow boats, their cold eyes burning with an unquenchable thirst for mighty gold. They swung heavy battle axes, shattering the quiet sanctuary with the cries of the helpless innocent. Precious silver crosses and jewel-encrusted gospels were ruthlessly torn from their violently trembling hands. The holiest site in Britain was left in absolute ruins, stained with the essence of those who served the divine. For the devout Christian world, these mysterious, unstoppable raiders were seen as vicious demons sent straight from hell. They showed absolutely no mercy, burning down villages, vanquishing men, and capturing the defenseless women. This single horrific event ignited the Viking Age, cementing their legacy as the ultimate nightmare. In the desperate prayers of the Franks and the Saxons, the Norsemen were simply fearsome, unstoppable monsters. But if you were facing such an unstoppable force, would you surrender your faith to preserve your own fleeting life? It is easy to judge them as mindless barbarians when looking only through the tearful eyes of the victims. The tales of their cruelty spread like wildfire, painting a one-sided picture of pure, unadulterated evil. However, many modern scholars argue that this terrifying reputation was highly exaggerated. Violence was the universal language of the dark Middle Ages, not just an exclusive and brutal Viking trait. Charlemagne, the great Christian king, executed thousands of Saxon pagans in a single, devastating day. Yet history remembers him as a hero, while the Norsemen are forever branded as the ultimate villains. The abominable fear they instilled was a powerful psychological weapon, making enemies surrender. They were highly disciplined and organized mighty raiding parties, not just chaotic roaming mobs of barbarians. Their famous shield walls were unbreakable fortresses of interlocking wood, requiring immense teamwork to hold. These pagans respected mighty strength and bravery above all else, believing that combat led to Valhalla. This fearless mindset made them the most formidable mercenaries, serving even the Byzantine emperors. But the violent raids were just the noisy surface of a much deeper, vastly more complex civilization. Beneath the terrifying facade of the battle-hardened raider existed a highly adaptive society. To truly understand the Viking phenomenon, we must look beyond the crimson-soaked altars and the shattered glass. We must journey back to their treacherous, icy homeland to uncover the brilliant minds that built those mighty ships. Modern science has unearthed a magnificent story buried deep beneath the thick Scandinavian ice. Those iconic horned helmets we always see in modern movies were entirely fabricated much later. Wearing horns and a mighty tight shield wall would be a deadly mistake, offering enemies a perfect handle. Surprisingly, historical evidence proves that the Vikings were actually among the very cleanest people. Excavations have revealed beautifully carved bone combs, delicate tweezers, and exquisitely crafted razors. While the rest of Europe rarely bathed, these supposedly dirty barbarians washed themselves every week. They ironed their clothes with heated stones and wore vibrant garments crafted from expensive, imported, beautiful silk. Far from being mere pirates, they were visionary merchants who established an extensive global trade network. Their economic reach magnificently stretched from the snowy fjords of Norway across Russian rivers to the east. In the bustling, vibrant bazaars of Baghdad, Norse merchants confidently traded rich amber for precious silver. The discovery of millions of Islamic dirham coins in Sweden proves the massive scale of their gigantic trade. They were peaceful traders when the profit was abundant, and only turned to mighty raiding when it was easier. At the very heart of their success was an unparalleled mastery of shipbuilding ahead of its time. The legendary Longship was an engineering marvel, constructed with overlapping oak planks for unmatched speed. Its shallow draft allowed it to cross violent oceans and smoothly navigate up narrow, shallow, tortuous rivers. This technological supremacy gave them the ultimate element of surprise, striking deep into the inland. Without the compass, they navigated by the mighty stars, the flights of birds, and an understanding of currents. They were the very first Europeans to brave the treacherous Atlantic, discovering distant, icy Greenland. Leif Erikson set foot on the Canadian shores nearly 500 years before Columbus was even born. Imagine sailing into the unknown without a map. Would you have the courage to face the unforgiving sea? The society at home was surprisingly progressive, with laws debated in a democratic assembly. Viking women enjoyed remarkable independent rights, allowed to divorce and manage mighty large estates. The iconic keys hanging from a Norse woman's belt were the ultimate symbol of her absolute authority. Some sagas even speak of mighty fierce shield maidens fighting alongside the men, though this remains hotly debated. They were master craftsmen, carving intricate animal motifs into wood, blending power with beauty. Their poetic traditions were incredibly complex, memorizing epic sagas to preserve their culture.
We honor the ancestors this night.
So why did these brilliant artistic explorers get remembered only as mindless, ruthless destroyers? The answer lies in the harsh reality of who survived to hold the pen and write the official history. The written history of the Viking Age was almost exclusively recorded by the literate Christian monks. Naturally, the helpless victims of such brutal raids would not write flattering descriptions of the mighty Norsemen. To the monks, the Norsemen were a divine punishment, a literal scourge from God sent to severely test their faith. This extreme bias permanently twisted the narrative, reducing a complex civilization to a villain. But what truly drove these Nordic farmers to leave their families and risk their lives on the violent seas? The brutal truth was a matter of desperate survival, as freezing lands could not support their massive numbers. With rocky soil and devastating freezing winters, the competition for arable land became intensely fierce. The younger sons, inheriting nothing from their fathers, had to seek untold fortunes across the endless ocean. It was not purely malice that drove the mighty Longships, but the desperate hunger of a heavily pushed people. The clash between the Vikings and Europe was far more than just a military conflict over precious stolen gold. It was a monumental collision between two opposing worldviews, the pagan survivalist and the Christian. To the Norsemen, a monastery full of unprotected gold was simply an opportunity gifted by the gods. They did not understand the concept of a peaceful, holy man. In their harsh world, everyone had to brutally fight. When these two mighty worlds collided, the shockwaves permanently altered the political foundations. The constant threat of sudden Viking attacks forced the fragmented European kingdoms to build fortified castles. It accelerated the development of feudalism, as terrified peasants traded their only freedom for safety. In a strange twist of fate, the very people who sought to destroy European kingdoms actually made them stronger. English kings were forced to unite their squabbling territories to mount a strong defense against the heathen army. They demanded massive payments of silver, known as the Danegeld, draining the entire wealth of trembling, helpless monarchs. Yet wherever they conquered, the Norsemen quickly transitioned from invading raiders to settlers, claiming fertile lands. They established the powerful trading hub of Dublin, transforming a muddy riverbank into a thriving city. In France, the mighty Viking leader Rollo was given the beautiful, lush region of Normandy for his loyalty. His incredible descendants, the Normans, would completely change history by successfully conquering England. In the east, the Rus Vikings sailed down the Dnieper River, laying the deep, unbreakable roots for the Russian Empire. They integrated so seamlessly with local populations that their distinct Nordic identity quickly faded. They married local women, adopted the Christian faith, and traded their mighty battle axes for the cross and the plow. If survival required abandoning your gods and adopting your enemy's culture, would you make that fearless choice? This astounding ability to adapt was the truly magnificent secret behind their enduring legacy. The epic story of the Viking Age is a brilliant testament to the unfathomable complexity of history. They were absolutely not saints. Their devastating raids were violent, bringing immense, unspeakable suffering, but reducing them to mindless barbarians ignores the monumental, incredible contributions they made. They permanently bridged the isolated East and West, injecting massive amounts of precious silver into Europe. They revitalized the stagnant urban centers, establishing vital trade routes that brought unbelievable wealth. Their unparalleled maritime technology paved the mighty way for future generations of global explorers. The fearsome dragon ships that once brought absolute terror eventually became incredible vessels of commerce. By looking beyond the biased chronicles of terrified monks, we uncover a mighty civilization of intellect. They were poets, merchants, brilliant engineers, and daring explorers who absolutely refused to be contained. The Vikings prove history is never black and white, but a messy, epic clash of completely different perspectives. Their bloodline flows in millions today, an echo of the unstoppable giants who once ruled the roaring northern seas. The enduring legacy of their incredible sagas and intricate art still absolutely captivates our minds. We unearth their buried treasures and realize they were so much more than just mindless and abominable conquerors. They were resilient human beings, struggling to survive in a harsh and completely unforgiving frozen land. The violent, unstoppable raids were simply a pragmatic solution to a devastating starvation. By violently forcing mighty Europe to defend itself, the Norsemen forged incredibly powerful new nations. Mighty kingdoms that were once bitterly divided, united under the devastating threat of the heathen. In fertile places like Normandy, they seamlessly blended their incredible warrior spirit with new ideals. This remarkable, astounding fusion eventually gave birth to the unstoppable, legendary Crusaders. Even the majestic, mighty castles of medieval Europe owe their unbreakable existence to the Vikings. Their massive trading networks connected isolated cultures, fostering unprecedented, unseen, majestic growth. The precious, abundant silver they brought from the distant east fueled the stagnant medieval economy anew. So when looking back at the mighty epic Viking Age, we must carefully peel away the thick layers of bias. We must acknowledge the tragic bloodshed, while also recognizing their magnificent, brilliant innovations. They were both the devastating nightmare of the church and the incredible architects of a brilliant new era. The Longships that brought unspeakable terror also carried the sacred seeds of a globalized medieval world. Their indomitable courage to sail into the vast unknown forever changed the unbreakable course of history. The only truth of the Norsemen is not a simple villain story, but an incredible saga of resilience. The Vikings were a paradox of violence and visionary exploration that completely changed history. Do you view them as unstoppable conquerors or pioneers pushed by a devastating, harsh world? Let us know below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to our channel for epic history.